am saying hello and welcome back to not just the MMA Split podcast, but the 1 year anniversary. It was at this point, give or take a couple of days, that Josh came to me and said, hey, Matt, do you want to start doing a podcast on mixed martial arts? A year later, we've had some ups, we've had some downs, we've had a couple of mistakes, a couple of podcast episodes that I fucked up and wasn't able to upload. We've learned a lot. We've seen some fucking great fights, man.
Yeah. Well, it's been the UFC's most profitable year for a reason. There have been some great fights, great narratives. Got to see Conor McGregor lose a couple times. That's always nice. And sweet Jesus, you know, and we're on the verge of kind of taking a big step up with this podcast as well. The whole time that we've been doing this, I haven't owned a computer, and that's changing. Maybe as soon as next week. Matt, it's been a great year. We even grew a little. The family got a little bigger. He's not here right now. He might be here later.
I really thought for a second there that was your way of saying Kate's pregnant. Yeah.
You're glad she does. You're lucky she doesn't watch this. I'm glad that you're.
I wouldn't have made that joke if I thought she did, buddy. Don't worry. But no, it's been a crazy year, man. UFC's nailed it. We've had some great fights. We've had some disappointing fights. I'll say this. In terms of people that I'm fans of, it's been a really rough year. Like a lot of my key guys did not get it done. A couple did, but I've been wrong more than I've been right. I've been right on a few things, judging from the pick show, but a lot of wrong as well. I was not wrong about this card, although I was very wrong on some of my picks. So we'll get to all of that. I think what we're going to do is we'll talk about the card first, and then we'll get to news and talking more about sort of the year in general once we've got Sylvester. For the moment, we've got to get this out of the way. UFC 43, I think it was, or 42?
43, I believe.
43, yeah. Vieira versus Tate. This was not a particularly good card. This was not a particularly entertaining fight. I was wrong on this fight. I thought technique was going to get it done. Man, Tate could not take her to the ground. I think Tate realized quite quickly, it's like trying to climb a building here. It's just like, you know, I don't see how I get this to tip over unless I have an axe that I'm just surgically just, you know, at the legs, just chopping it down. She gave a good account of ourselves, but, and she made it a fight, but really being on the feet wasn't going to be what won this for her. And she wasn't able to take it to the ground. I mean, there's not much really more to say. Obviously, we'll talk about it more, but
yeah, I mean, she kept it close. She kept it competitive. I really didn't know who that first round was going to go to, and obviously that first round ended up being key. But you know, when she was able to kind of almost reverse the takedown at the end of the first, I felt she definitely stopped Vieira from stealing the round, keeping it close enough. I thought maybe it might have gone her way. I was surprised, you know, her movement. You know, she looked very busy in an effective way. She was landing some good shots, but more than anything, she was just making things a bit uncomfortable for Vieira, who couldn't really get to grips with it until sort of late on in the first. And yeah, the size was a huge problem. I think Deep Cupcake probably, you know, runs through a girl like Ketlen Vieira, but even though she does look really good in this comeback, you know, she is a little past her prime. Vieira's big, real fucking big. I didn't think it was going to play out this closely. I gotta be honest. I thought it was going to go a little bit more Ketlen's way. So I kind of watched it, the kind of thing, and you know, Tate's doing like a little bit better than I thought she would. But
Ketlen's not a high level fighter.
Heartbreaker. No. I still think that Tate is theoretically closer to a title shot than Vieira, but you know, that's just the state of the bantamweight division. I honestly think she beats two ranked fighters, depending on the kind of state of things at that stage. You know, maybe she gets a shot at Nunes, but
maybe. Here's what I thought. I thought her game plan was wrong. They both kind of accepted that it was going to be a stand-up battle, but that was a much better situation for Vieira than it was for Tate. And you could see after round one, the corner were, you want to get an insight into what the game plan was. They were fuming at her for going for a takedown, to the point where it was clearly like they had a plan to win this on the feet with her boxing. I was surprised that Tate, who had to do so much work to try and get inside and land shots, wasn't doing what worked for her against Renaud. And I know it's different opponent, it doesn't make it easy, but in the Renaud fight, she was just using the striking to give herself an opportunity at the takedown. And she only did that sort of once or twice in the fight. And it felt a little half-hearted. And the fact that she kind of made it a bit closer, and it was sort of, after the first round, these exchanges that she was just kind of coming off the worst in. It's a little. I'll tell you what it made me think is, remember when we were watching Fiziev against Renato Moicano?
Yeah.
And Moicano was losing the striking, but he was landing shots and getting the odd right hand in. And we were sort of saying this is the worst situation for him, because it's giving him enough confidence to keep this fight away from where he's going to have the best chance of winning, and ended up, working out really badly for him. And I kind of think that if Tate was just getting completely outclassed on the feet for the first 2 rounds, it might have been more of a desperation, like, we get this fight to the ground no matter what. But because it felt close, it felt like she, if she just made a couple of adjustments, she could figure out a way to win it on the feet. It kind of set her down the wrong path in those last few rounds.
Yeah. And I mean, I kind of understand why that might have been the game plan. I do agree with it's the wrong game plan, but
maybe she couldn't take it down. Maybe she's just that strong. She was just like, fuck, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of thinking that leading into it. As the fight played out, I kind of thought that, to be honest, maybe trying to bait her into giving up, a cheap takedown, kind of overreaching on something, and she could change levels. Or she didn't look too bad against the fence. I didn't think that maybe it would be impossible for her to kind of work a takedown from there. Vieira was reversing the position eventually, but it wasn't immediate. And Tate looked a lot stronger than I thought she would against Vieira clinching up on the fence. But yeah, I don't know, maybe even like pull guard on something. There's just different ways to try it. But
well, yeah. The shame of it is, man, is the one time that the fight went down to the ground, Tate showed her quality and difference in ability instantly. I mean, instantly. So you could see that was going to be where she would have won this fight. But you got to be able to every single fight start standing. And one thing I'll give Ketlin for as well is she didn't throw a lot. Nothing was looping. She kept it very tight. She didn't try and swing up or load up or on anything. So she wasn't giving a lot of avenues to kind of duck under a big, hook and use the momentum. So from that side, I think she did well. I don't see a fighter that's getting past the top 5, even in a shallow division like bantamweight. And, I mean, she won, she's incredibly respectful afterwards. You could tell how much it meant to her. It's the biggest win of her career. For her, she's beating a legend of the sport, former Strikeforce champion, former UFC champion. She literally said, "I'm sorry" about 6 times afterwards to Miesha Tate. So fair play to her on that. But honestly, I just felt I was justified in thinking this wasn't a main event fight. If this was the co-main, absolutely fine. I just don't think we saw a good enough display to justify this being a main event 5-rounder.
No, I mean, even on paper, this was going to be kind of a. Before the event, there was only one fight we were excited about. Afterwards, there's only one fight we're excited to talk about.
There were two.
Wait, are you counting the co-main there?
Yeah, I was excited about Brady versus Chiesa. I didn't think it was going to be a barn burner, but
yeah, we're excited to find out how good Sean Brady really is. But we weren't really necessarily excited for the fight. We didn't think it was going to be like a lights out war.
No.
So, yeah, it's kind of a shitty card. it wasn't. It didn't play out as a great card. It is what it is. Part of having their most profitable year is fulfilling this ESPN quota. So fights fall out. This one is what it fucking is.
Segueing across to that co-main event, I have a controversial hot take.
Go on.
We still don't know how good Sean Brady is. Really.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't Kies's best fight, but for me, I would still think that Chiesa on a bad day beats most guys outside the top 10. So I'm quite content saying that Sean Brady, having to play to Chiesa's strength somewhat. Yeah, I consider him to be a top 10 fighter now. I've got a good idea of how good he is. I don't know where his ceiling is, of course, but yeah, I'm quite satisfied. I was surprised though. I picked against him.
I'm less impressed than I thought I was going to be with Brady. Not because I didn't think he did well, and obviously what he's good at, he's very good at. I don't think there's any doubt about that. The wrestling, Michael Chiesa is not an easy guy to control. You can control him though. It is doable. Wrestling is not, he's more of a grappler than a wrestler. So what really surprised me is Michael Chiesa should not be piecing you up like that on the feet. I'm not saying that you can't be better than, and I'm not saying that Michael Chiesa hasn't made improvements and become more well-rounded, but that he was getting pieced up. In fact, the only reason I think he survives that third round is because Chiesa stupidly was throwing these knees in the clinch, which the commentary team did a good job of pointing out was just giving the takedown away on the second or third knee that he tried to throw. But everything with the hands was, if Chiesa does that to you, the other guys in that top 10 are not fun fights. Like, I before that, I would have thought maybe he beats Bilal Muhammad, and now I think Bilal Muhammad might really school him.
Look, the comparison I want to draw doesn't really make. It's not completely in with the tone, but look at a guy like Khabib. Very poor stand up, to be honest, but phenomenal takedown and top control. Undefeated. Sean Brady, great takedowns and top control. Undefeated. I'm not saying that he's going to be like a dominant champ or anything like that. I'm just saying that if you're only good at one thing, it kind of has to be that thing. And he is. So, yeah, he fucking sucks on the feet. It's okay. It's kind of a wrestle heavy division, Outside of Wonder Boy, there's no one that he has to really worry too much about in terms of just getting fucked up on the feet. There are a lot of guys that are great in all senses and are good all rounders, Vicente Luque, Covington, Usman, fucking the list goes on. But I think Sean Brady can be a real handful on the mat. I think he's going to be able to take most of these fights down, or at least, kind of keep the striking sort of nullified to kind of sprawl and brawl, like constant takedown defense, and then try and back him up to the cage or something. I just feel like he's got the tools to kind of impress. I consider him a top 10 fighter. I don't know if he's necessarily going to be any higher than that, but yeah, I feel like we learned a lot about Brady. You have a great point. I'm not taking anything away from your point. What I'm really trying to add to that is why, in this case, I think it's less of a problem.
He wasn't the only thing I'd interject with that. I know you're not saying that he's like going to be a dominant guy like Khabib. The takedowns he got, man, I felt like were much more poor strategy from Chiesa than anything that he was doing. If anything, I actually thought that Chiesa's takedown defense and distance management was really good, apart from when he was just throwing really ill-advised kicks and then the knees in the clinch, which ultimately, to be honest, is what I think lost him the fight.
I think that's fair to say. But also, these takedowns, they all count.
I know, I get that. And I know, listen, Chiesa's a grappler as well. He's a grappler. He's not the easiest guy to take down as it is. There are guys that Brady could fight that are going to be easier to take down, although more dangerous on the feet. but it's that kind of thing where it's like you see a guy like that, he's looked so impressive, and then he comes into this kind of territory, and it's like you kind of put the breakers on a little bit. You're like, okay, now we can kind of see good fighter, probably deserves to be where he is, but would I fancy him against Bilal Muhammad? Probably not. Would I fancy him against Vicente Luque at the moment? Probably not. So I'll say what, and that's where you're right. We have learned a lot. I think you actually said it best. We know more about his floor, but we don't really know what his ceiling is.
Yeah.
Well said. And on that note, we have Sylvester. You might have to grab a chair.
No, maybe I'll just stand.
Isn't that a chair right there?
No, man.
Oh, there's a chair over there.
Oh, how can you see this?
I can see an empty chair in shot.
Oh, what? You mean the interview chair?
Yeah, I can't say that. Matt, move up. Hi, Josh. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to the podcast.
Happy birthday, guys.
Happy birthday to us.
Mm.
We're turning 1.
Oh, God.
I know.
1.
In 17 years, this podcast will be allowed to start drinking.
Does that mean we have... How many followers we have? Are we getting at least 1 follower a month?
Well, technically, we do have more than 1 viewer per month.
Yeah?
Yeah, on average.
Wow. We're growing.
On average.
We're growing. It's nice to see the baby, gaining some feet.
We've got a few people. We've got Dave. We've got Trifo over in the States. We did have one guy who I don't know if it's somebody just using a different name, but they left a comment. His name was Bruno Ferreira. It was when we were doing the pick show for UFC 268. And I saw it after the card happened. But before the card happened, he was just like, you 3 are just a bunch of Rose fanboys. Watch how wrong you're about to be. I can't wait to see the look on your face when you have to talk about it. And I just did a response, just ha 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 ha.
Brilliant.
So maybe he doesn't follow us anymore, but fuck that guy.
You win some.
Yeah. Could have responded in a more fan-friendly manner. Get the subscribers up. Okay.
I know. I got carried away. Sometimes I'm in a hurry. I'm uploading the next episode. I see the notification with the comments, and I just reacted. It happens. We're down past the first 2 fights on the card. What was your thoughts on the card? We didn't think it was very good.
Did I watch this card? Sorry, I just want to make sure. This is a card I watched last weekend?
This is a card that you watched?
Yeah, sorry. I haven't seen every card, so I have to sometimes refresh my memory.
Of course. Clearly it didn't leave an impression on you.
No, these fight nights never do. I mean, the Kiesa fight.
We're recording this late as well, so it wasn't like a day ago or 2 days ago. It was like
this is true.
5 days ago.
I was ill. I've been ill for a while.
Yeah, it was Misha Tate against Ketlin Vieira.
Oh, yeah.
So I lost money on this card.
Yeah, I did pretty good on the picks.
So, yeah, you talked about Misha Tate and Vieira. Misha Tate, unfortunately, had no chance. Vieira looked a lot stronger. I mean, it was an even fight, but if you really look at it in depth, it didn't look like Misha Tate had much of a chance. The second fight was...
He said everything that we said, but he only took like 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's why.
That took us way longer.
Josh, at the beginning of every Shakespeare play, there'd be a guy who comes to the front and tells you the whole story in the first minute. Didn't mean that you didn't stick around for the next 3 acts.
The next fight on the card was, who was it? That was the one I enjoyed, I think.
Brady against Chiesa.
Yeah, it was a good brawl fight.
Now we're on to the one knockout that happened in the whole fucking night. It wasn't even a knockout, it was a submission, but it felt like a knockout. It felt like there were 2 valid knockouts in there. But Jojo's obviously a tough as shit.
Yeah.
But this one I got right because Tyler Santos is scary. And Jojo Calderwood never should have turned down that title fight because she's not going to get another one.
That's all right. She already changed the name, so...
what a result.
Yeah, man.
You're Calderwood and you marry a guy called Wood and your name just becomes Joe Wood. And his name's John, isn't it? So technically they're both Jay Woods.
Yeah, that is true. Fuck, man. Yeah, Taylor Santos is a beast. I think I actually called it by knockout, but yeah, she got the sub. She just looked phenomenal.
How many fights is she away from a title shot, do you reckon? Because she's
Tyler
looking
Santos.
solid. You reckon one more fight and she's got a title shot?
Yeah, the thing is that
Show up the
division,
rankings.
Shevchenko's best beaten everybody.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So surely maybe she'll get like a little fight before, but after that she's having a title fight for sure. I mean,
She could probably justify it if she really called one out, but if she's smart, based on her age, based on the fact that she's not had that many UFC fights, I think she'd be way smarter to have at least one more, maybe two. Because there's still people like Calderwood. I like Calderwood. She wasn't really a top 5 fighter in that division once the division starts getting structure. So I think if she can if Tyler Santos can do what she just did to Caitlin Chukagian, or maybe if she fought, oh God, what's her name? Can't believe I'm drawing a blank on this. She lost. She's the one who beat Calderwood for the bloody and nicked her title shot.
Jennifer Meyer.
Jennifer Meyer, that's the one. Tyler Santos versus Jennifer Meyer. I think that would be an interesting fight. If she wins that, I'd make an argument to say she deserves it.
I think that's correct. I think that makes sense.
She's the only one in the top 5 now that hasn't fought for the title already. We'll see. I think. Yeah, sorry, I was gonna say, you guys are right. She needs to take as many fights as she can before that title shot. The good news is that she's young enough in a division that's already kind of been cleared out. That if she's probably going to get the opportunity to get a couple of fights in after the title shot before the subsequent title shot. So all the experience is just going to help her out in that kind of like second rematch, as I would view it inevitably, if Shevchenko doesn't retire. But
I don't think Shevchenko's retiring anytime soon.
No, but I think the thing is, it's a weird one, because as long as you don't fight Shevchenko, and same with Nunes, and I'm talking about marketing, I'm talking about making money. As long as you don't fight the title, these two girls that are unbeatable and that you're pretty much sure to lose them, you can actually grow your kind of your brand, if that makes sense. This is why if I was in the position of Santos, I wouldn't take a title fight. I would maybe take another fight or two, some good performances, so that by the time she gets to the title fight, she can maybe, headline the card or be somewhere really high up in terms of making money, because it's very likely that she will lose to Shevchenko and then all of a sudden, become a bit of a nobody. But if she brings a brand first, then loses to Shevchenko, she can still have, a good payout and still have a brand after.
I actually agree with that. I mean, here's the thing. I think, honestly, look at the rest of the top 10. I think she starches, I think she beats Vivian Araujo. I think she beats Jessica Rai. I think she beats Cynthia Calvillo. I think she beats Andrea Lee. I think she beats...
she beats everyone in the division,
Lauren Murphy. The only 3, apart from Shevchenko, that I have a question about is Chukagian, Andrade, and Jennifer Meyer. Because with Meyer, you've got the jiu-jitsu, and Meyer's jiu-jitsu is really, really good. She's got excellent top control. I think that would take away, she'd still probably have her on the striking, but without having that grappling threat, that's an interesting matchup. I think Chukagian, her takedown defense is so good. I think her ability to move and use her length and reach is a problem that it's a puzzle that I'd like to see her prove that she can solve before she gets a title shot. And then Andrade I wouldn't want them to book that fight, because I still think they like Andrade as somebody that can pull fans in, and you kind of want her there around in case, let's say,
Andrade's an exciting fighter, so you want her to be on the cards. Andrade is one of the only girls, in my opinion, that, as you say, is exciting to watch. You want her on the card because that, and I'm not being sexist, but of course, the girls' fights can be sometimes a bit more slow than some of the guys' fights, but not with Andrade. She brings the heat. She's going in there.
It's knockouts. It's knockouts with her.
So
I always think that they'd want to keep her more around to fight these up and comers after they get the title shot. You know what I mean? Just in case if Shevchenko ever loses the belt, you want to have Andrade there with a couple of wins in the back pocket to be able to, to pull fans in and be a good sort of title fight down the road. So those are the only three really, and the only thing that makes sense for me would be Chukagian and Meyer. Chukagian, I think, might be having kids though, so maybe she might be out for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, I don't know how much of a say in it Santos is going to have, because the UFC don't like it when you turn down title shots. And if they offer a title shot soon, she'll probably be pressured into kind of taking it.
Yeah, but Santos is really good. Like, again, she proved she's really good. So if the UFC don't like it when you refuse title shots, if she wins her next fight, she has to be giving a title shot, whatever the UFC like or not like. Like, the UFC can do whatever they want, but, you know, if she refuses a title shot, the only thing they can do is go, oh, okay, well then can you fight someone else? Maybe the UFC won't pay her so much money for it because they're a bit like upset and they're arguing. But as long as you're winning, you're going to get a title shot. That's the maths.
I have a little theory though, because I think that the UFC are going to try and do Nunes versus Shevchenko 3 next year. And I think they're just waiting for Nunes to clear her way past Juliana Pena, at which point neither woman in their division is really going to have a clear contender. And both could take a year off basically and let the division have some people fight each other out and let a contender develop. And then they could book this super fight trilogy between the two of them.
Who? Wait, between who and who?
Nunes and Shevchenko.
What weight would they fight at?
135.
35.
Shevchenko originally fought at 35 until they made flyweight. And she's lost twice to Nunes. She lost once in a title eliminator and then again in a title shot. But the second fight, which was the title fight, it's so fucking close between them. And a lot of people think that Shevchenko won that fight. So she said that she's talked about it. She said that it's not a fight that she'd probably say no to if they offered it. It has to make sense. But she wouldn't put any weight on. She's just like, this is my weight. I can beat this girl. I know I can beat her at this weight. The only thing that you have to deal with is just that she's very strong. That's the difficult part. But I think that's what they do. Because, I mean, if Nunes beats Juliana Pena, who the fuck else does she fight in 2 weight classes? That makes sense. There's nobody. Yeah. There's nobody really for Valentina apart from, Santos that we've just been talking about. And we all agree that she needs more time. So yeah, let her beat out some of these aging former challenge contenders, get them sort of out of the picture a little bit and moving on, and let's see if we've got a contender develop up.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, although I would say at flyweight,
what do you think?
There's a couple of girls that I'm like, yeah, I would actually really like to see that Shevchenko fight.
But they need time, pal. That's the thing. They need time.
Hang on, sorry. Can I ignore me for a second there? Long day. Long day.
You're all right. Because obviously you've got Miranda Maverick, you've got Macy Barber, you've got girls further back, but all of them need more time to establish themselves as contenders.
Well, yeah, I was actually looking further back than that. I was kind of thinking like Manon Fiorot, or maybe even like Casey O'Neill, who I don't think are like legitimate challengers right now. But those are girls that I would like to see kind of fighting sort of top 10 type, top 5 fighters.
Mate, I wouldn't rule Casey O'Neill out. I would not
take Casey O'Neill out.
No, you wouldn't rule her out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. These little flashes of potential. No one showed as much potential as Santos, but there's some girls coming up.
About Casey O'Neill though, man, she's such a fucking dog in that. Yeah. She's just got that fighter in her. And she's young as well. I think she's going to fill out a little bit. She's taken some time off. She's had an injury. She was going to have a big fight, I think, in December or January. But she's 23. I think she's going to start filling out. She's going to be able to build more muscle and have more strength as she gets a little bit older. Santos is 28. She has the body of an athletic 28-year-old woman in her prime. Yeah. Casey O'Neill needs a couple more years to add that extra element. It's like Chase Hooper, but more talented. It's like all the skill in the world, but you need more time to fill into your frame.
Chase Hooper's, what is his next fight? Sorry to be completely off topic, but
no, I think he's taking time off, man.
Yeah, no idea, but I was gonna say Roxanne Modafferi is obviously retiring soon as well.
Isn't
So,
that her goodbye fight at 269 or 270 or?
I'm pretty sure it's next month, but I didn't know if it was on the pay-per-view necessarily. It'd be cool if it is.
I saw that though. Legend of the sport.
Yeah.
Kind of glad she's retiring though. When you see these, the Vivian Arujos, the Tyler Santoses coming up, it's just like this isn't the same sport that you competed in.
Isn't it beautiful
Yeah.
to see that UFC is progressing? Like when you see like, I mean, it's a bit sad, but the sport is really improving. We see old fighters, and when you think of old fighters, even the ones that were at the top, not all of them, but most of them would not have a chance against the top 10 in most division nowadays. I find that's really exciting. I'm not talking about, sorry, Matt, but even
No, go for it.
I started watching the UFC 8 years ago, 8 years ago. And I remember watching it and thinking, okay, these fighters must be insane. But now I watch it and I see some fighters and they're so rounded and there's such professionals and such masters in so many different disciplines. It's nuts. It's not. I mean, you guys have been watching it for longer than me, so you have seen really the progression of like before these karate people going in there knowing only karate and then getting wrapped up by this guy that only knew jiu-jitsu, and now you got some people who know like 5 disciplines and now black belt masters in 5 disciplines. It's so good, man. It's so nice.
Well, I think what's cool as well with the women's mixed martial arts is that it's the evolution is happening so much more quickly because it hasn't been around for as long. So what's happened across the space of 25 years for men, in many ways we've seen happening in 7 or 8 years in the women's sport. And you're 100% right. You know, when Roxanne Modafferi came in, she was an accomplished jiu-jitsu fighter. And basically that was it. And she also somebody that wasn't particularly athletically gifted, but she had a heart, a dedication, a willingness, and technique, and a game plan, and knew how to do it. And she constantly learned and evolved. But she's somebody now that you couldn't fight in 2 years' time. She would never, if she was coming up, be able to be a 125 fighter with that frame. They'd be saying you either have to find a way to get down to 115 or become a lot more athletic, because you're not going to be able to compete, and you're certainly going to need more skill sets than just jiu-jitsu. I think it's going to be the case. It's the same way for Joanne Calderwood. You know, she's somebody that really should be a 115 fighter, and being very disciplined with weight and nutrition and all the rest. She moved up because the cut was too bad. But I don't think that decision is going to be available for as many fighters anymore. And it's the same for the men as well. Like I'm a massive Masvidal fan, but why did he get starched by Usman twice? He's just really not a 170er. He doesn't have the size to deal with that style. I think this is the direction that we're going to see more and more, is that it's just a choice that isn't going to be made for you. And you guys see Dan Hooker did a test weight down to featherweight.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's going down. I think Gastelum's going down to welterweight as well, right?
Yep. Kevin Holland is going down.
And Kevin Holland's going down, that's right.
Kevin Holland?
Yeah.
Well, I reckon he's finally going to do well.
No, I think he smashes it at welterweight. He walks around at under 185 pounds.
He's going down a weight.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. He's going to smash it because he's actually an unbelievable fighter. He's also mastered many disciplines, as long as he's not on his back against someone heavier.
But also, he's not one of these guys where it's like the weight cut was killing me. He's just one of these guys that's just like, hey man, they signed me for middleweight and I don't have to cut weight. It's great.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people I think he matches really well against with welterweight. The only question with that is it's a wrestle heavy division. So it better be that you were just dealing with some strong motherfucking people.
The thing is, but you have to see that, okay, he's not a very good wrestler. And this is my point of view, right? But his jiu-jitsu is really actually really good because, okay, you how many rounds has he spent on the bottom of top people without getting
tapped? Yeah.
Not only not getting tapped, but he's not getting ground pounded. He's sustaining a defensive position, which unfortunately he can't win the fight from that. But he's not outright losing it. He's just in a position where he's being controlled.
Well, he's even shown he has the ability to get up at 185, but it's just not, avoiding getting put down multiple times and not having the energy to do it more than once and just feeling a bit mentally broken in these fights. But he had the ability to maybe do this at 185. So I think if he continues training his wrestling like he is, I guess he's still working with Big Rig. So, yeah, 170 could get a lot more interesting.
The only thing I'll say just about the survivability, there's an expression in boxing that Teddy uses where you get these guys and they usually become kind of like journeyman fighters, but they won't be very good, but their reputation was just, hey man, he doesn't get knocked out, man. He's there at the end the whole time. Teddy will always say, it's like some guys are just tough and they're in the fight trying to win it and they still don't get knocked out. And that's impressive. But most of these guys, basically, they try a little bit for 2 or 3 rounds, but once they realize they're not going to win the fight, it becomes about not losing it rather than winning it. So it's surviving it. And you can survive, like, look at Tyron Woodley when he went on his horror run. Okay, it's like, you could say he didn't get finished by some tough guys. It's just like he wasn't really putting himself in a position to get knocked out. Like he was just avoiding, he was giving the easy way out in order to not get knocked out. And that happens, unfortunately. It happened in the first Masvidal fight with Usman. But you could tell Masvidal at a certain point was just like, I'm not going to try and push off. I haven't got the energy to push off this cage. I'm just going to accept this. You know, it's kind of like a hug with my toes tingling a little bit.
God, don't get me started with Masvidal. God, he's going to be fighting someone soon.
There was rumours that he was going to fight Khamzat Chimaev. And Brett Okamoto tweeted it like super official for like UFC 270. And then the next day, Masvidal gives an interview. He's just like, yeah, I should be ready for like March or April.
No, but there's so many people asking to fight Masvidal. And it sounds like he's going to fight either that guy Askren. Is he going to be fighting? He's like got beef with Conor. Obviously, there's always what's his name that just got beaten by Usman, Colby. Like Masvidal, I want to see what's fighting Masvidal. Is he going to fight Nate? Where's he going? Well, he's going to fight someone.
He better be fighting Colby next.
He should be fighting Colby. Ribs. If the UFC want to be really nice to him, if I was Masvidal, my dream fight would be Conor, because I'm going to get loads of money and I'll probably win.
What weight?
Well, they do it at 170. 170. He murders Conor at 170, in my opinion.
I don't know. I think that's a good fight because they're going to stand up, and that is all you want to see from these two. You don't want anyone wrestling with them.
But that's the thing. It's Masvidal probably should be a 165er, but he at least still can be a true 170er apart from elite wrestlers. Conor is not looking like a knockout artist at 155. At 170, it's like, okay, you did what you did to Cowboy, but Cowboy's Cowboy, and he's not a real 170er. Masvidal isn't Cowboy, man. Like, I think the benefit would be that Masvidal has to fight a guy that isn't going to take him down. It
would be one of the best fights of the year. Like, whatever year it's in, you put Conor, you put Masvidal in the ring, it's going to be a fucking great fight. Like, there's no doubt.
By the time you book that fight, you could be in a situation where you'd have two guys who have both got back-to-back losses to the champ. I said could. I'm not assuming that Poirier, but I'm saying hypothetically possible.
Oh, this is. I'm not even going to get involved in your discussion with Poirier, man. Like, can we not talk about this until Oliveira beats him, and then we can actually talk about Poirier?
Well, we're going to talk about it for the pick show in a few weeks' time, but
yeah.
Well, you already know who I'm picking, right?
Yeah, I've used my Sherlock Holmes powers of deduction to work that one out.
I think for anyone that's been watching the show for the last few weeks, I don't think we need to talk about it anymore. We can just pick, everyone knows, okay, done, and then we can go and talk about the other fights on the card. I mean,
it's like 50% of our shows is basically you're here for an excuse to be able to talk about how much you love Charles Oliveira.
Well, it's either Charles Oliveira or O'Malley, or if you give me an opportunity, I'll talk a bit about Conor.
Yeah, true.
Although I'm trying to not talk too much about Conor.
Did Tom ever tell you about the tweets that he sent, the DM that he sent Charles Oliveira?
What was it?
You did tell me this, but I've forgotten.
Oh man, so Tommy Trolls, who usually trolls every single fighter that loses him money or pisses him off or wastes his time. The one really nice tweet DM I saw him send was to Charles Oliveira, which literally just said, "Hey man, I just wanted to let you know you're my favorite fighter because you always finish the fights. It's so awesome. When you're on the main event, I know I don't have to stay up like super late." It was fucking hilarious. And then he got really upset because he was like, "You didn't respond. You did not respond to my messages."
Man, it's always worth sending messages to people. You never know who will get back to you one day, you know?
Well,
never know.
Fucking, yeah. And another tip of the cap to the legend that is Eric Anders. He's got a fight coming up. He's got a good fight coming up.
Is it on this next card? No, it's on the big one.
No, it's on the big one. He's on the prelim.
I forgot.
Oh, fuck. I can't remember who it was, mate. It popped up and I wasn't paying attention. But I remember
205, yeah.
I believe so. He is fighting on the early prelims Andre Muniz at middleweight.
I think he'll win.
Oh man, so Duplessis fell out.
Of course, we're gonna back our boy.
No, but I mean, like, statistically, I think he'll win.
Muniz is no joke, man. That's the only thing, is that he's got that fucking jiu-jitsu. That's the danger, but Eric Anders can neutralize him with wrestling.
Yeah, and it's back at 185. So, Anders is gonna, I think, have the size there. Man, I was kind of excited that Duplessis had a fight coming up. That kind of sucks. I mean, obviously, it's great to see your boy fighting, but can't we have both? What world is this?
Just having a look at that card, I will say this: there are so many good fights that I don't think we're going to feel like we're missing out.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
Let's very quickly go back and talk about Ronnie Yaya. There's not much else to say apart from you're fighting a guy who walks out to Squid Game. I mean, that's already got to put some doubt in your mind. It's just like, what was this guy's training camp like? How many people died for him to get here? Like, what's going on? And first round did not go well for him at all. At all. But he just finds a way, man. He only needs one moment. And if that fight goes to the ground, you are fucked.
It was a big error in the last round, isn't it? When he followed him on the ground, that's how he lost the fight. Because it was actually, I think it was one round each. And in the third round, Squid Game man gets him hits him hard, goes to the ground, and he follows him. And even the commentators were like, "You fucking idiot! Why are you doing this? You know not to do this. You've got the fight. You've won the fight. You just need to wait for him to get back up." And then he follows him on the ground. That's it. That's the fight.
Yeah.
Stupid. Well, the thing is that when somebody is that good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you can think that you're in a dominant position, and you can even think to yourself, I'm just going to stay in this position, keep busy. I'm not going to risk any moves or anything like that. But he's so good. He just knows how to fulcrum the right weight. He knows how to reverse the position, exactly what moment, what slight little change of balance he's looking for to be able to do what he wants to do.
The other person that does that amazingly is Charles Oliveira.
Yeah. Despite our obvious love of Poirier, let's just reestablish to the fans, me and Josh fucking love Charles Oliveira. This guy is the man. He's one of the best fighters in the UFC. I have no question about this. Ronnie Yaya's much more of a specialist, though. Charles Oliveira is a submission guy. Yaya has that understanding of position and top control and all the years of experience in
yeah, of course, and I agree with this. But the fight I was referring to is the Tony Ferguson fight, where he didn't submit him; he just controlled him magnificently. You're
fighting Tony Ferguson, and you literally broke his arm in round 1, and he didn't tap. At that point in time, even as you're a fighter, you're kind of thinking I don't know if this guy taps, man.
Yeah,
the arm's already broken. The ligaments are fucked. I don't know what else I can do here. I mean,
I know. Wow.
Apart from tearing it off, he really wants to see that.
And also, Oliveira is a big Tony fan as well.
But come back to the fight. It's nice. Ronnie Yaya, I think he's gonna. I'd be interested to see what he does against a bigger fighter. How many more fights can he win? Without getting knocked out.
That's the thing. He perpetually rolls back the years, but the truth is, time's running out.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what kind of fight he gets next. But
I think the division he's in is moving ahead too quickly.
Yeah.
I think that for him to make a run, I think is over. But if he wants to have a Jim Miller-esque career of just fighting good guys, maybe gets a top 15 guy or something like that every now and again, but accepts that he might win 2 or 3 and then lose to a real top level guy coming up. If he wants that career, go for it, man. I think, you see what he did and you see how easy it was to hurt him on the feet. I think most of the top 10 bantamweights could stay off the ground with him and have a good game plan and finish him quite quickly. But I love Ronnie Ayer. He's great to see on the card.
Have you ever imagine you're a fighter, right? And one of the judges gives you 30-27. You think you've won the fight, no? Because that's what happened.
This one upset Sly because he lost money to me on this one.
Fucking David Grant, the next fight on the card, that was just, when you hear the first judge go 30-27, you're like,
it's a close fight. So on the one hand, you're like, well, yeah, shit, it could go either way. But yeah, I kind of understand what you're saying. Like, on the other hand, you're like, oh shit, like 27, maybe I got this. He hadn't, though. He definitely hadn't. Let's just get that out of the air.
So he definitely hadn't. This is what I'm like. What? How can we say he definitely hadn't? One of the judges gave him round.
It was a close fight, but I think it was, Yanez took the first, Grant to the second, Yanez to the third, and.
Davy Grant had big moments in the first and the third round, but those big moments were surrounded by a consistency of damage and combinations from Yanez. The difference is that he's such a technically tight boxer that nothing had any wind up. Everything just flew. Whereas Davy Grant, it's not technically as good, but obviously when it lands, it's like, oh, look at that. There was a whip, and then he did a spinning thing and all the rest. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't factor in harder shots, but Yanez was doing some damage, and he was doing it with straight, hard landing power shots that were affecting Davy Grant. It's a superficial thing as well, though. But if one guy's nose is all busted up, it's such a visual sense that some guy's taken more damage, or that damage has accumulated more, whether that's correct or not. And I'll be honest, I didn't think this was a great performance from Yanez. I think he was clearly very affected by not having his coach and the emotional weight that he's been dealing with that, because he can box better than that. I think he got caught in a few traps, and I think maybe he didn't expect Davy Grant to be as unorthodox and as willing to just stand there and trade and sort of not retreat from pressure. And he did enough to win the fight, but I think even he knows that that's not his best night in the office.
I know it might be a little harsh. I felt like he did really good, considering Grant has that really awkward, aggressive style. And, the more that Yanez was patient, looked to counter and then control the movement from there, the more success he had, the more that he kind of got baited into the exchanges with Davy, the more success Davy was having, even if Yanez was landing more damage. And then kind of, by the end of the first, he had him figured out. Second round, Davy actually manages to edge it. But kind of went back to kind of having a bit more poise and patience, and just, I really thought Yanez continually adjusted throughout the fight to Davy and didn't get sucked into kind of playing like that rash game. I was kind of impressed. I thought he did pretty good.
I only say what I say because I really think Yanez is fucking incredible. I think he's got so much potential. I think he's already an amazing fighter. That I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm just saying that for the level that he's got, I think he can reach, and the level I think he's already at, I think even he would go away and say, I know I can do better than that.
Yeah, I mean, he's on track though. Davy Grant makes even the best of them look very fallible.
This is true.
Which is why it's all the more shame that fucking TJ Dillashaw kind of cheap-shotted Holdsworth into potentially an early retirement, because it was Holdsworth that beat Davy Grant on that Ultimate Fighter finale. And I just think like the fucking wasted potential between the two of them, one having to retire, one plagued by injuries. Like, kind of a cursed season, but I guess it's the same year Juliana Pena came through and she's going to get her title shot. So
I think Holdsworth had more chance at success, let's just say.
Guys, I know this is completely off topic, but completely off topic. Right, I've got this hoodie, right? Like a normal hoodie, and I've always worn it as a hood. And when I put the hood down, it's kind of like looks weird. But I was listening to just fiddling. I've kind of
you've realised that you can fold it. I can fold
it and make this like beautiful like collar. Matt, what do you think? It's really good.
Matt, it looks really nice.
I was looking at the camera. I was like, this looks really good. This looks really nice. So if you ever get one of these fluffy hoods, remember that you can actually just roll it up and make it into this really nice kind of like jacket. And then when it does get cold, you can just.
I'm gonna go make a drink. He's gonna do this. I'm gonna make a drink.
You know what? Like, I'm gonna go out on a limb. I think the jacket was designed to be rolled for that extended purpose.
Do you reckon?
Because the fact that if I tried to do that with my normal hoodie, the material would be too bunched up on this side, but they created it in a way that allows it to perfectly roll up more in the middle, so that you create a collar effect.
So they should like give you like hoodies now and have like a little instruction manual how to use your hoodie. Yeah. I think that would be really nice.
Josh's got a different background at the moment.
Yeah, no.
Is it just me, or does it kind of look like we're looking at like we'll be able to see like an art painting presentation?
No, it looks like someone tried to paint the wall and did the worst Bud's job ever.
It kind of looks like a mural, man. Like, you know, like in Greek when they carve things on the outside of like temples. That's a little. Those are like three fucking like women holding pots of water. That's like a fucking, I don't know, flying creature.
Wow, stick. I think, Matt, you're being really nice to whoever's completely bodged that wall. Like it looks like Josh fell in it, made a hole, and then he had to like put some like plaster tape on it. Then he forgot to like file it down, and now you're seeing his art. Josh?
Yeah, dickheads, I got my headphones on. So why are you shit talking my wall? Yeah, I'm upstairs today. It looks more like a cave, but it's upstairs. This is the back wall though. It's kind of like this whole Baroque thing going on, but like
I kind of feel it's like a Rorschach painting, man. Like you see in it what your mind sort of dictates. Because initially I thought it looked like a kind of like Greek mural with like sort of different figures and stuff like that. But now I can see a fox almost, like a mini sort of like outline of like a fox in the middle, like red ripples.
Look, we're gonna do a Christmas episode in this flat, so you guys can come see it. But you've seen this one before, but you know this wall. It's like the I'm not going to spin the camera around to kind of give you an idea of where it is in the flat, because Kate's just sat on the sofa and I think she'll get annoyed at me.
Hi, Kate.
Hi, Kate.
But yeah, no, it's okay. I can't wait for the Christmas episode. Very excited.
Yeah. Hey, Matt and Sly say hi. Hey, Matt. She said Matt and Sly who?
We're insulted.
That's fine.
Okay, let's talk about these prelims.
Shit I won't repeat. Yeah. Oh, I didn't watch the prelims.
No, there's no knockout.
I'm gonna get out of there.
We're just gonna do a run through here.
All right.
Pat Sabatini won. I got this correct. Rafi Garcia won. I got this correct. Lupi Godinez won. We got this correct. Cody Durden won. We need to talk about this, and we need to play our new favorite game of the podcast. Was that racist? Cody Durden wins a close fight. This is the first thing that was actually worth talking about, apart from the fact that for ages I thought that Loma Lookboneme's name was Boney with two E's at the end. And I've only just realized that her name is literally Lookbone. And it's just funny. I can't stop laughing at it. I can't take anybody seriously. It's like when somebody told me that the king of Thailand is called King Bummipole, and he lives in Bangkok.
Is this racist or not?
This isn't actually part of the game show, but that is a good question. I don't know. It's childish. I just can't help but find it funny, because it is funny. But Cody Durden beats Ruchi Leng, and in his post-fight speech, he says, we knew this guy was going to be pretty tough. He was a tough guy. I just had to send him back to China where he came from. And this led to one of the most awkward silences I've seen on TV in a while, because DC didn't quite know how to respond. You could see the gears were turning in his mind. He's trying to figure out, it feels like that's bad. What do I do? What's happening?
Would you like to have the answer from Quileng?
Oh, I've seen his answer. Yeah, he is not happy about what was said.
This is what he said. I destroyed this coward in the cage, but the judges gave him a chance to say something disgusting through his disgusting mouth. He can do nothing in the fight, and I saw fear in his eyes. He is a coward. So Aquileng is not his best friend.
So here's the thing. I don't know. Because the thing is, there's a common slur of like, go back to such and such where you came from, which is meant and intended as something really offensive. I kind of feel like it would be worse if it turned out that Ruchi Leng lived in like America or trained in Europe or something like that. Because it's like, dude, I don't even live in China, like, fuck you. But if he's actually going back to China, this is kind of where I was sort of working out in my mind. Is it less racist? Is it still bad? Like, what's everyone feel about this? Because it definitely feels like it's bad.
It's bad, but it's
Yeah.
not that bad because it's bad because of the tensions and the political tensions in the world. But if you would have said that, if a Spanish person, so if Italy had beaten England and Italy and they was sending them back home to England, you'd be like, okay, cool.
This is what I was thinking.
That's
If
what I
it was
mean.
France, if he said, I wanted to send him back to France where he came from, and the guy lived and trained in France, would it be the same way? And obviously the question is that what Cody Durden intended? But again, he's just been hit in the head for 15 minutes. And it's the fact that he prefaces saying, we knew this guy was tough. He was going to be a tough guy. It's not like he's saying, guy's a bum, all the rest. I don't know. And I also kind of wondered whether or not maybe that was something that like was said in his like coach or in his camp or something like that. Like to moment, like, come on, man, this guy's coming into your turf. You've got to send him back to China. So
I think we're overthinking it. I think Cody Durden's too stupid to even realize it was offensive. It's basically just standard shit talking. But unfortunately, it's a time where there's like been a huge rise in like anti-Asian like sentiment and racist attacks because some really stupid people blame COVID entirely on every Asian-looking person.
yeah.
It's just fucking ridiculous.
What's the irony that it turns out that the gain of function research was actually paid for by the United States?
Wait, hang on. Is that like a confirmed where the COVID thing, where COVID came from?
The studies that they were doing at the lab in Wuhan were being done at the lab in Wuhan because Anthony Fauci didn't want them being done in the United States for the specific reason that he didn't think it would look very good or people would like the idea of them researching, making diseases like this more contagious in labs on United States soil.
Anyway, the point is, Cody Durden is really too stupid to kind of weigh the levity of what that phrasing kind of for other people. The apology
was not good.
Is half-assed. So at that point, I'm like, okay, you really are a fucking moron, but it's going to look really bad for you. Is it racist? Yeah, technically, I would say. I don't know. I like that Shane Gillis joke. You know, racism isn't something like you are or are not. It's like, you know, you're racist sometimes, like you're hungry sometimes. And it's just something that people just need to be more mindful of and more considerate of. And, you know, technically it is racist. I think it will blow over. I think it's just poor timing. I think eventually people will realize, no, this kid's just too fucking stupid. You can't really try him in the media as an adult because he's just too
exactly.
Fucking dumb.
It's just not a very.
Well, to interject on your point about overthinking it, though, I do feel though that some of the reactions is an example of underthinking it. Where if most people, I think a lot of people, particularly on social media, are very desperate to go, oh, "That's offensive. You're a terrible person." Whereas, which I think is underthinking. If everybody had gone through the process of going, "Okay, that was probably a bit stupid," it doesn't become this whole thing.
Yeah.
It would have helped if he just did what people should do in this situation, was go, fuck, man, I'm sorry. Heat of the moment, I didn't mean it like that. Completely my bad. I can understand how that could get misconstrued. I'm sorry, and reached out to Ruchi Lang directly. But doing listen, man, I'm sorry if that offended you, is a bit like, you know.
Yeah, it's a bit stupid.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
it's like farting in the elevator and being, I'm sorry if you can't handle the smell.
Yeah, for him, it was probably akin to just being like, yeah, suck it. You know, it's like, yeah, go home. I won. But he's a fucking moron. And yeah, you know, we don't pay him to do the thinking. We pay him to do the fighting. That's how this whole MMA sports structure works. Although I do appreciate when you do get a genius as well.
Is it technically worse, though, than when Conor McGregor said that if he was fighting Aldo in a different time, he would have invaded his lands on horseback, slaughtered the men, and then slaughtered any man not fit to work the fields?
I feel it's historically themed, so I'm going to give some leeway there. I say it's less bad. I'd say it's not as bad as when Chael Sonnen talked about Anderson Silva's childhood, presumably playing in the mud. Or the other one that I saw come up online the other day is when he said that he saw Big Nog and Little Nog seeing a bus for the first time, and Big Nog was trying to feed the bus a carrot.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, someone posted online on Reddit the other day the Big Nog's like response to that, where he's like, "I fucking hate this question. Why do people ask me if I fed a bus a carrot?" Like, fucking Chael Sonnen though, he was the king of shit talking.
Do you know what I think the difference is that you get accepted way more if you can make it funny.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Is that no one was laughing after what Cody Durden said. That people laugh at what Chael and McGregor said.
Yeah. I mean, shit, he went down to Brazil and did a season of The Ultimate Fighter opposite Vanderlei Silva.
The funniest
drinking.
The funniest part about that is that the way Chael sells the story is hilarious. He's just like, I get that. Vanderlei Silva has this whole thing. It was just like, you have to apologize to Brazil. And he's just like, no, you don't understand, man. There's a reason I've been hired for this. I'm the bad guy. I'm here for you guys all to hate me. And you get to be the hero that fights me at the end. You just have to be you. Everyone's going to love you because I'm the bad guy and I'm okay with that. But if you keep being a dick to me, everyone's going to start feeling sorry for me because I'm the American in foreign land and stuff like that. And he started being like, no, you have to apologize for Anderson. It was just like, dude, me and Anderson are cool, man. He was going to be my coach. He was going to be my Brazilian guy, but his leg's fucked and he can't do it. Me and him are friends. How do you think that worked out for me, buddy? I talk shit to Anderson Silva. Do you think it worked for me? Do you think I got the better of him?
Well, I mean, I've seen the stuff like on camera, but was he like literally like trying to explain it to like Vandy off camera? Like, look, you're the good guy on the back. Because then as soon as it's on camera, it's kind of the same stuff, but then lit it in with like, have you been drinking? I can smell alcohol in your breath. Like, I'm not apologizing for anything. And you know, like, Chael just fucking kills it on that season.
Vandy actually tries to fight him just like in the middle of the gym, and they're all mic'd up. And as soon as he swings, Chael gets him for a takedown, and you can just hear as Chael's taking him down, you go, "You son of a bitch!" Just said, just like so, like thrown away. Just like you can tell, he's just like, for fuck's sake. Then obviously a bunch of Brazilians just all pile in and all the rest. And then one of the guys, he ends up apologizing to the fighters, where he's just like, "I'm sorry, guys. This is about you. It is not about me. This is your moment," and stuff like that. This guy's been like, "Yeah, Chael was being really nice to me. He kept apologizing and stuff like that." The thing is, I'm Brazilian, so like, fuck Chael. Wanderlei, yeah.
Well, no, he wins them over because like he goes over and he talks to them about their specific styles and strengths and things, and like by like the end of episode 2, they were all like, "Yeah, this guy's pretty cool. Like, he's a good coach." Like, I think it's impossible not to love Chael Sonnen. Even John Jones liked Chael Sonnen when they were on the fucking Ultimate Fighter.
I think anybody who talks about like working or knowing Chael Sonnen say he's just the best guy. He's just the fucking the best, nicest guy. You can't say a bad word about him. He's so enthusiastic. He gives a fuck about what you're saying. He's I wouldn't be. I know that we all hate Colby here, but people say the same thing about Colby, apart from Masvidal. I'm just saying, people do.
My problem is specifically with Colby is I understand that for him there's like the shtick, and then he'll live like a civilian, but and part of the shtick is saying that that's how he lives 24/7. But he's kind of just pushed it a little too far with too many people and handled it badly when he gets it back the other way, and it's just. I have a hard time believing that he's just like the Andy Kaufman of the MMA world, Well,
you kind of take the taxi driver argument almost, where it's just like, if you are something for a long enough of time, you become that thing to a certain extent.
No, more just that like he leans into the idea that he can just be like, no, I'm a cool guy. That's just, I'm just selling fights. I just got to do what I got to do to make money. It's like, nah, you're trying to pretend that it's like 100% fake and that you're a different person. And I think it's more like that's like 90% of who he really is. And he's just kind of cognizant enough of it to be like, no, it's a different guy. That's just my hustle. That's my money making side. I think the guy is legit an asshole.
like a kind of moral justification thing where you can kind of lean in and enjoy things because you can justify that as a character, but you are still enjoying those things.
So he's like Marilyn Manson. It's like, no, I'm a great guy. I just pretend to be a monster. And then you find out, oh, like legit, you're just like a fucking monster. Okay.
What's Marilyn Manson a monster about? I mean, I've never been a big fan of the guy, but
Oh my God. There are so many like instances of him like just essentially emotionally, psychologically, and in some instances physically and sexually torturing women.
oh snap!
Yeah.
With their permission or against their will?
Nah, like and on a heavy diet of drugs and social isolation. He also had like the flat he had in Hollywood back in the day, or just in LA, had originally like there were like some house music producers living there, and they had like a little like soundproof booth. He would just lock women in there. There are like reports of like tying women up, so like they wake up and they're tied up, and like he's raping them, cutting them with a knife while he's having sex with them and stuff. Just really, really fucked up shit. There's a really good Rolling Stone article, kind of surmising a lot of the public claims and kind of putting it all on a timeline and everything, and kind of offering a little bit of kind of context to everything. But yeah, that's anyone interested in it should definitely go seek out that Rolling Stone article.
Interesting. Okay, because he always kind of, I know what you mean. Like he was always into some weird shit, but it's always very much like the character, and I'm actually a super intelligent guy. And
yeah, I always thought he was just like a very considerate, dry humored, kind of dark kind of guy. He was kind of very controlling with his music, but apparently he's like that with everything. So like I knew like he had like Nazi paraphernalia and shit, but I didn't realize to what extent he was really fucking obsessed with it. And I didn't know all of the like, you know, kind of like all the fucking torture and sex assault stuff, which is fucking sickening, to be honest.
Listen, people can be into what they're into, but that shit needs to be fucking consensual on two different sides in a clear state of mind and all that
yeah,
kind of stuff.
And enforcing drug diets on emotional, like romantic partners is so fucked up. Such a horrific, nasty, manipulative, selfish, destructive thing to be like enforcing on someone else.
It's the kind of thing that somebody probably does because they're taking that much drugs themselves and they don't want to feel bad about it.
No, if you kind of go through all these women's stories, it looks like a very carefully crafted kind of pattern of control.
Oh, okay, that's much worse.
And yeah, it wasn't like I take a lot of drugs, so she takes a lot of drugs. It was, you know, heavily encouraged and then later on enforced in most of these relationships. It's real sick fuck. Why the fuck am I talking about this?
Because Sly's taking a phone call.
Because Colby fucking Covington. Sorry.
I think that's a bit mean to compare Colby Covington to Marilyn Manson in the context that you've just given.
I'll concede that. But I feel like it's a good like parallel in terms of like how much you're faking it and how much you're really living it.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I think
like the guy's closest friends think that like his former best friends, coaches and stuff, they're like, fuck that guy. Probably
that's a real valid point. That's a valid point. The only thing I'd say is I don't know how much of that is, because this is the question. It's like when you kind of form an alter ego, it's very natural to almost kind of like start feeding into elements of it. It can happen, and it can happen with a lot of sides. So, you know, there's a lot of fighters that probably have developed these kind of like, I think Conor McGregor's been guilty of this to a certain extent, where you create this larger than life character that almost becomes a part of you, and then it sort of envelops that side of you in a way and gives you a sort of outlet of expressing thoughts and opinions and stuff like that you wouldn't usually think in day-to-day life. A little bit like, Deontay Wilder when he said the whole body on the record thing. Yeah, that's not something that any fucking normal person would say on a talk show, you know, even if that was something that you thought. But there's this idea that because he's the bronze bomber you know, and he views himself as this kind of killer who gets possessed by a former fucking warlord demon from Nigeria and stuff like that when he enters the cage and all this kind of stuff. You can't always separate those two things. It kind of becomes a part of you as well.
Actually, all right, I've got to ask this now because I'm going to forget if I don't ask you now. Where do you land on Sean Strickland? All right,
Sure.
Sean Strickland, hard up conspiracy or myth? Like, is he legit that fucking crazy? Like he's only ever like one bad day away from killing someone, or is he just
Okay.
boxing himself with?
I'm going to answer it with this. There's a YouTuber called The Modern Martial Artist who does fantastic breakdown videos, mostly on boxing. And he did a whole thing on alter egos in boxing. And he looked at the four horsemen. So Sugar Ray Robinson, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, the Hitman Tommy Hearns, and what's the guy? Ecuadorian boxer. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on his name.
You're looking for help from the wrong guy. Panama. Roberto Duran.
Roberto Duran. Sorry, I don't know why I said Ecuador. Panama.
Yeah.
And he basically said,
like if you'd said Panama, I would have been right in there.
Sorry, I'm a little stoned and tired. Panama. Roberto Duran.
More clues.
He said Roberto Duran was the only one of these guys that didn't have an alter ego. And it was probably because he didn't need one. The guy was a fucking beast walking around day to day. He didn't need to create any character to get angry or focused or motivated enough to get into a boxing ring. He was good to go. I feel that Sean Strickland is this type of human being. The way that he spars, the life that he's had, the fact that he wants to go off and live in the woods, not that that's the reason why, but just everything that he talks about. I don't think this is bullshit, man. I think that's him 100%. And I think that he has no mental issue in getting into a ring to fight somebody as Sean Strickland. Does he even have a ring name, or is he just Sean Strickland?
I don't know. Although, you know, if he wanted to call himself like the motorbike accident,
surviving Sean Strickland.
You know, the car crash. That'd be pretty cool. I was going to say real quick, have you seen the Hands of Stone movie with De Niro?
You know what? I watched a little bit of it, but I didn't finish it. I didn't like. The problem is, I know that story so well. I've seen documentaries on it. I couldn't remember the guy's name fucking for 4 minutes, and I said Ecuador instead of Panama at first, but I don't know. I mean, it's Robert De Niro doing a boxing movie. There was that element, but I've seen a lot of boxing movies, man.
He's the coach, though. He's the coach. It's pretty good, man. I enjoyed it a lot.
Well, I mean, it's a great story, and obviously the two fights against Sugar Ray Robinson are legendary. But Sugar Ray Robinson, this is why I wanted to bring this up. So one of these guys didn't need an alter ego at all, but Sugar Ray Robinson got really into his ego. Like he always used to say before fights, he'd look in the mirror, and if Sugar Ray was looking back, he knew it was almost physically impossible to lose the fight because he was Sugar Ray. But if regular Ray Robinson, with all of his flaws and insecurities and self-doubts and mistakes, was looking back at him, it was going to be a tough night. And the first Duran fight, he always said that it was just regular Ray that was looking back before he went out into that fight. And then he had another fight down in his career where it's the same thing. He didn't see Sugar Ray in the mirror, and he was worried as he's walking out, and he's trying to find a way to look for inspiration for himself. And he sees Muhammad Ali in the stands. He started telling himself that he was Muhammad Ali because Muhammad Ali was the greatest. So if he was Muhammad Ali, there was no way he was going to lose. And even in his mannerisms, he just started behaving and trying to mimic Muhammad Ali. So he was really into this idea that like creating a character, an ego, a version of yourself that is the right version to accomplish the task. You know, it's something I think a lot of people do, but it's hard to then separate those things because you get all of this attention and adoration for being the alter ego, and you behind all of that can get kind of lost. And you know, there's certain things like being allowed to be a dick and being praised for it or making money for it. It can be satisfying. It's a short-term pleasure that people enjoy. And so to relate it back to the Colby situation, it wouldn't surprise me. I don't think that it's like there's a darkness in him that's being discovered. I think it's just the natural human nature of he's having fun with it, and then you do enjoy these moments, and it kind of you do become the character that you play to a certain extent, even if maybe the intention wasn't there initially, because it is a little fun. You know, anybody that's ever done, there's the reason actors always love to play the bad guy. It's because you get to indulge a little bit, but you are indulging.
Well, it's not all actors either, you know. Yeah, the guy's a fucking wrongin'. That's how I feel about it.
If you take the Batman, I should have said the Batman approach instead of the other approach, which is that it is not who you are, but what you do that defines you. By that definition, Colby is a dick.
I think by all definitions, most likely that kid's a fucking dick. Is Sly coming back? I forgot why he even left.
I think it's for a job.
Okay.
He's had a couple of interviews today. We'll just quickly round out the cards. Shah Yulan won against Sean Soriano, which I predicted.
I picked against him there. Yeah.
And
it's only one of two I got wrong though. I did pretty good on the picks.
Okay, we'll count up in a sec. And first fight of the night, Luana Pinheiro. This was not rape.
I haven't seen it, but obviously I'm disappointed it wasn't a finish. I assumed she was just going to run through her.
It was a pretty one-sided fight, but it was not great. So I'll give Hughes credit for that, but that is now 4 losses on the bounce. She came in 5-0. Or 5-1. There 3 or 4 losses on the bounce. And I think she's just not at the level mentally or physically for the UFC right now. I think she needs to go away. I think she needs to fight on the regional circuits, maybe Invicta, and work on her skills, but have an opportunity to fight more leveled fighters where you can actually apply those skills and improve, because I think she's just getting overwhelmed in these fights.
To be fair, I'm just having a look. It's 3. It's Keisha Torres, Loma Lugbunmi. Yeah, no one's boning no one.
No, that's not how they pronounced it. That's not how Fitz pronounced it on the weekend, mate.
Fitz can suck a dick.
It was Lugbunmi, which is a much more Thai pronunciation.
I think in Thai being like Lugbunmi.
It's probably that one.
All right, and Luano, who we're kind of high on. I mean, yeah, Sam Hughes doesn't look UFC ready, but
she's in like a Hannah Cyphers group.
Yeah, like it's not unrealistic to think that at some point in her career, look, I mean, at one point, Roxanne Modafferi looked like the least UFC ready fighter you had ever seen.
Yeah.
And then she came back in and, you know, fought for the inaugural title at a different weight class. The Shevchenko now rules, but it doesn't matter. My point is, things can change. However, you know, she would have to have a real like Roxanne Modafferi fucking moment.
This is true. I'm not saying it's over for her. I'm just saying that the UFC can be a rough place to learn your craft. Very tough.
It's like your collar looks like one of them hemorrhoid cushions, but you got it around your neck instead.
You're just jealous.
Yeah, mate, you talked a lot of shit about my wall. Yeah, Karma's a bitch.
Yeah, I'm not jealous of your wall. You're jealous of my hemorrhoid cushion around my neck.
Guys, we're all wearing hoodies. Okay, all of us can fold.
No. But like, Sly looks like he's popped his head through someone else's hemorrhoid cushion.
Wait.
Awaiting some tasty treats.
It smells weird.
Well, that's the card over. So let's talk about some news. Josh, we've had a couple of fights announced, which you're going to like. We have got Qatar versus Chikadze.
Oh, fuck yes. Fuck yes.
That's a good fight. UFC Vegas 46 headliner.
46, was that going to be like late December?
I think it's next year.
All right. I can wait.
January 15th. Yeah, main event. No other fights I can see. Oh wait, there's also going to be Sayukov Kakramanov fighting Brian Kelleher. And oh shit. I guess so much for me thinking that Jennifer Meyer or Chukagian would be a good fight for Tyler Santos, because Jennifer Meyer is fighting Caitlin Chukagian on January 15th as well. So a few good fights announced for that one. Early prediction, I'm just going to say I don't think that fight's going to be a good one for Qatar to bounce back from. Chikadze,
yeah.
Chikadze is the real McCoy, man.
Yep, and he is going to spam that fucking body kick. I don't know if anyone's tough enough to finish Calvin right now, but it's going to be a tough one for him. He's just going to take 5 rounds of abuse there. Hasn't Ankalaev got a fight coming up?
I think he's going to fight Thiago Santos.
Yes, Maretta.
So I'd like to go back to an episode we did a few weeks ago where I said we're about to find out who the UFC likes out of these former light heavyweight title contenders. And I said that if they like Anthony Smith, he's not going to have to fight Ankalaev. He's going to get a Rakic fight or something a bit more interesting or more winnable. Whoever they give Ankalaev to out of Thiago Santos, Rakic, Dominic Reyes, Jan Blachowicz, any of these guys is the person that they like the least, and they gave him Thiago Santos. So I don't think that's a good fight for Thiago.
No, it's not a good fight for anyone. It wouldn't be a fucking good fight for Paul Craig. But
I'll tell you what, if Paul Craig plays his cards right, this might be, Ankalaev becoming the champ might be his best chance at a title shot.
yeah, probably.
Who knows? Maybe Ankalaev wins that belt and they're like, who do you want next? And his translator he starts talking in Russian. His translator goes,
"Get me the bear
For 3 years, I have stayed awake at night. Nightmares of one man, Bear Jew." And then he just goes into a quoting the full-on Hitler scene from Inglourious Bastards. It's Steigen.
Yeah,
9.
Contractually agreed to only fight 4 rounds, 4 minutes and 59 seconds. They take the last second off. You lose that bad boy. I'm not having that again. You see, Delidze's out of the Brendan Allen fight. So fucking spoiled my perfect night. The comeback kid, Chris Curtis, is stepping in. What they got against Chris Curtis? Yeah. Did he not do well enough in his last fight? Can you not give him a fucking break?
Damn. The thing is, though, I think that they've probably offered that to him. Chris Curtis is riding cloud 9 after what happened in the Phil Hawes fight. And
it's just thing, you just say yes. You just say yes and it pans out. Oh.
Brendan Allen is a very large human being.
Yeah, and he's not perfect, but he's certainly a lot fucking busier than Chris. Once he gets in that octagon,
Chris Curtis looks small next to Phil Hawes, and Phil Hawes is not a big middleweight.
No, and Roman Dolidze offered something that made that fight competitive. And all right, we haven't really seen a lot of Chris Curtis other than that dude can take a whooping and still land a shot. It's not unimpressive. It's not unimpressive, but it doesn't get anyone thinking that there's any way he doesn't get the shit beat out of him on that next one.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
What else have we got coming up?
In other news, we kind of have to talk about this because although we are a MMA podcast, massive boxing fight happened that we gave no preparation or predictions for. Terence Crawford fought Sean Porter. It's one of the biggest welterweight fights in the last few years. Terence Crawford proved he's the fucking beast. It's basically he's got to fight Errol Spence. There's no question about it. Sean Porter retired. basically he's lost to the two best
Yeah.
in his generation.
Really, I'm not gonna lie,
convincingly.
I should have been excited for this and watched this, but I wasn't, and I didn't. But I will watch that Errol Spence Jr. fight all day long.
Yeah. I feel a bit sorry for Sean Porter.
Boxing really has to fucking bring the noise, you know? Boxing has pissed me off too many times. If you want me to watch something, you have to really fucking sell the shit out of it. I have to be very excited for it. And, you know, I didn't even fucking stay up and watch the last Canelo fight because, you know, I could give a fuck at this point.
So you're looking forward to the Paul fight?
You understand how upset I get anytime you try talking about those cunts on this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're a big Fury fan.
Did you guys see what John?
I'm not a fucking Tommy Fury fan. No one's a Tommy Fury fan. Tyson Fury isn't a Tommy Fury fan.
Did you see what Tyson Fury's dad said at the press conference? I showed you.
Yeah, it's good.
So they're all the Furies are on the stage, and Jake's like phoning in from Zoom or something like that. And is it John Fury, his dad? Hope I don't get that one wrong. Yeah. We're going to roll with John Fury. I think Peter Fury's his uncle. I'm sure John Fury's his dad. Suddenly grabs the mic and goes, "Listen, Jakey boy, you're going to get annihilated. He's going to knock you out. And then he's going to take your girlfriend, bend her over, and do her right up."
Yeah, he squared up to a TV and everything.
Yeah, funny. And obviously everyone else, you just have like Tommy Fury's just head in his hands, just like, "Oh my God, I can't believe my dad's just said that." And Jay Paul just pissing himself laughing, just like, "What the fuck did these crazy people just say?" It was quite funny.
He's messing with the gypsies now. He's not in for a good time.
Talking about Canelo, are you guys going to check out his attempt to try and be a cruiserweight world champion? He's fighting literally the worst cruiserweight heavyweight world champion. Like, he's going in at the easy level, but he's going to be outweighed by 2 stone. Like, at what point is the Canelo?
No, this is going to be the first time though. Sorry, fuck, what's his name? The guy that Canelo's going to fight. Rukumbo. I didn't repeat it right. You were just nodding, so I'm not going to say it again. This is going to be the first time that he's going down to cruiserweight, as the weight is now set right at 195. Like, he hasn't done it at 195 before.
I don't know. So, all I know is that he's going to be outweighed by 2 stone on the night, Canelo.
Possibly not. I think the gap will maybe be smaller, but as I understand it, it's pretty much the worst champ. The first time it's going to be contested at the new weight class, which is the lower weight, which is the smaller jump. So it's like, it's just like the perfect time to kind of do it.
It's 20 pounds heavier than he's ever fought before.
Yes, but you know,
and he only ever fought at that weight once.
Yeah, but like realistically, it's you know, instead of kind of making kind of like a 40-pound jump, he's only making like a 30-pound jump now. It's just way more viable than ever was. But it's like GSP coming back to fight Bisping.
Like
Bisping's like fucking. No. But you know, he didn't do it against Weidman, or he never fought Silva. You know, like he was like, where do I match up well? Just keep waiting for it to tick around. Yep. All right, I'm ready to jump back in. It just feels like good timing potentially. But you know, I'm just going off what I'm reading on like the media buzz. But fuck it, why not? Am I going to watch it? Yeah, but like the next day, I'm not staying up for it.
I respect that. We got no fights this weekend. No fights whatsoever. Next cards next week. So seeing as it's the 1-year anniversary, thought we could do a little question, just a couple of quick things that might be fun to talk about before we wrap up the show. What do you think was our worst podcast that we've ever done?
Probably this one.
The one where we were smoking weed outside my window the whole time, and we had the recording of my phone on the floor, and all you could hear was all the shit outside the window, and you couldn't hear anything we said. It was one of the audio only ones.
That was pretty bad.
That was before we were on YouTube. That was when we were just on some like weird podcast app, and it was just audio.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those were pretty awful. I didn't really count those in. All those before you use whatever you're using now was pretty...
Well, yeah, that was like the second ever one, and we were like just trying to not be shit at talking to each other while recording.
Yeah.
Which to be honest, is a very underrated art. It's not as easy as you think.
I think we're still trying to find that skill every now and again, although I definitely think we've improved dramatically.
Well, the other thing is that we've been doing this podcast across one of the craziest years in most of our lives.
Yeah.
And there have been lots and lots of personal challenges along the way.
Mate.
Many job changes, flat changes, blah, 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 all kinds of fucking shit to deal with.
Me and Josh had a
been
fight.
Able to keep doing this. Yeah. Wow. He's making it sound like we got into an argument. No, yeah. We had
we also prepared for a fight for like 5 months of our lives. We had furlough.
You did 5, I did 2. That's why my weight cut went so bad, though, I guess.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, man, I do miss the furlough days, though. It was so nice when this was just like, I had so much time to research and organize shit. And
doing the podcast was easier, but I really do not want to go back to that time because I was just so fucking broke the whole fucking time. We had to move flat as well. Kate got OS. Like, those were not good times. It was easier to do the podcast because we had more time, like free. But yeah, I do not miss the furlough days, like at all. Shit, I had to give up weed for like 2 months.
Oh shit,
Brutal.
yeah. I remember
that.
Rough days.
That was a really rough time.
Rough days. What do you think was our best ever episode of the podcast?
Oh, the one that you fucked up. The one that you didn't record.
You guys were going to say that.
Easy. This best. We'll never do another one that good. Yeah, that. Oh, I'm not just saying it just to make you feel bad because I think that's funny. Obviously, that's only like 70% of my motivation right now. But legit, that was one of the best episodes we ever put in the can. Except we didn't put it in the can.
Sure.
Can't believe neither of you wanted to say the Eric Anders interview over making a joke at my expense.
Oh no, we fucked that up so bad. We were so nervous. Like just
we
so
still got Eric Anders on the podcast.
I know. It was no. It's one of my favorite days of last year. It's one of my favorite days of last year. It's not one of my favorite episodes. No, like plus he pushed it back like an hour or so, and like we were just smoking weed that whole time, just getting more tired and more like, and plus none of us wanted to fuck it up for the other two. So the whole time, all three of us are just kind of like conservative, like don't no one be cool or interesting or normal. Everyone just like it's a classroom.
Man,
you know what I mean? Like, is it my favorite episode to tell people about? Yeah, probably. But I don't think it's our best.
That's
it's definitely not our best. It's not even close to being our best. And Eric Anders fucking brought it. So, you know, that's just how bad we didn't let ourselves down. It's our first one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we didn't know to have the conversation beforehand where we should be like, hey guys, it doesn't matter if one of us fucks it up. Because as long as we're all trying, it can never be as bad as if none of us fuck it up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very well
said.
That talk. Too late for that chat.
What was this?
What has been your favorite card since in the time that we've been doing this? Actually, let's say favorite fight. Since
favorite
we've done
fight's
the podcast.
Too difficult. I'll give you a card.
Okay, you can do a card more easily. Let's go.
The Oliveira one with.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, with.
Against Chandler.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
It wasn't a great card. You just had a great moment in that fight because you love Oliveira.
I made like 70 euros that day. It was a great card.
You did win a lot of money that day. I'll give you that.
Yeah, that would taint your opinion somewhat. Best cards be the last pay-per-view, I reckon.
268 was pretty special.
Yeah. It's been a lot of good fights. It's been a lot of good fights this last
261 was pretty wild.
Who had like 261?
Was Usman against Masvidal 2. That's when Rose head kicked Zhang. It's the first fight with fans back, and you had the dominant Shevchenko performance. You had the leg break of Chris Weidman.
That was a pretty interesting card.
The irony.
Been some good fights, man. Been some good cards, and we're going to have a lot of good cards in the next year as well. Hopefully, with some improving quality of service. We're going to find a way quite soon where Josh doesn't have to time the lag to figure out when he's meant to start talking as I finished to make it seem smooth and without
I'm getting
gaps.
good at it though, eh?
Almost perfect there, mate. Almost perfect. And honestly, we're getting to the point where we can finish each other's
sandwiches.
Boom.
Wow. Never get sold.
Such a classic. I knew he was going to say sandwiches as well. I thought about saying sandwiches as well at the same time, but
okay.
Wasn't going to work out.
Wow.
I'm a simple lad.
I'm just going to walk away next time we make that same joke. I think I've heard it like 18 times in the last year. That one and the fucking we're all going the same way, whatever it is. Jesus Christ.
We might as well carpool because we're all going in the same direction.
Yeah, I'm going to save that for the pig show next week. You're going to fucking love it.
You get so happy when I use that line when you're not there because you're not around to shit on it.
That's true. Yeah. That is very true, actually. Yeah.
Other things we want to do in the next year, I will make a return to the Twitch streams. I'm trying to figure out a way to do them a little better. And here's the thing. I need to be doing them on times where Sly's happy to do it as well, because if it's just me on my own, I'm just talking to fucking air and it's a little weird.
Can we both, can I remotely join your Twitch stream?
I don't know. I'm not very good on Twitch. There must be a way.
I'm sure you can just spray whatever's on your screen. So you can have this on and then have the Twitch on.
Yeah. But here's the thing. We live in Europe, and staying up to watch some of these cards live, I do it a lot, but sometimes it's just a next day thing. And
yeah, but they're starting to understand the foreign markets, and they're doing a better job of putting on earlier cards and putting on Bellator do this really well. Bellator put on fighters at the time that is kind of like the evening's peaking for their home countries. That's so the European fighters will go on first, kind of thing, you know.
Expect the UFC to do that soon.
Yeah, the UFC have been kind of adopting a similar kind of model, and even though there have been less, obviously, European cards, they've still been able to put out cards at times that are good for the European and African, Asian markets, so that more international fans can get involved.
There's another factor as well, though, which is the UFC, particularly in the last year, has become way more mainstream. And what they're getting is younger fans. And if you can get younger fans, then what you can get is an audience that might watch your sports in American times at 4 or 5 in the afternoon, in a way where their markets usually in America have been driven on late night prime time. That, American football gets millions of viewers. Loads of sports have a daytime audience. You just need to have a bit of a younger fan base in order to do that. And the UFC is starting to get that as well. So if you can have people willing to watch a fight night that starts at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and people are tuning in for it, that's a lot easier for the European fans as well. And Abu Dhabi, it seems like they want to do the cards for Abu Dhabi time now. So that market's becoming bigger.
And that works out well for us and all. So,
guys, on that note, I think this would be a good point to conclude the 1 year anniversary podcast. No pick show this week because there's no fights this week. We'll be back next week, probably just for a kind of one episode pick show podcast.
Guys, be prepared to make a pick on the Bellator main event as well. We've got Sergio Pettis against Horiguchi. We'll just pick the main event. That's it. But come prepared.
Good advice. And on that note, guys, have a great week ahead, everybody, and a good weekend. And as always, bye Dave, bye Laurie, bye Treefbo.
Bye Dave.
Here's to the next year.